The annual Lawson family dinner glittered beneath the chandelier of their Manhattan mansion. Success, in that room, was measured in company titles and corner offices. At the far end of the table sat Elara Lawson, quiet but alert. Her family took turns boasting about their positions at Lawson Industries, the corporation her grandfather built from nothing. Her brother, Ethan, tapped his CFO badge and grinned. "Another record quarter," he said proudly. "Though some of us actually have to show up to the office to make it happen." His words cut through the laughter, landing squarely on Elara, the daughter who had left her vice president post to work from home. She smiled faintly, scrolling her phone under the table where a message glowed. "Final phase ready. Operation Frostline complete." Her mother, Vivian, swirled her wine with delicate disapproval. "Elara, dear," she began, her tone soaked in polite venom. "Still doing that, what do you call it? Remote consulting?" "Something like that," Elara murmured. Her father, Charles, added with a smirk, "There's always a spot waiting for you at Lawson Industries. HR, maybe marketing. If you ever want to rejoin the real business world." Across the table, Ethan's wife, Clara, chuckled, eyes gleaming. "But you'd have to actually come to the office and wear something other than sweaters." She glanced pointedly at Elara's simple black outfit. Elara's lips curved. "If they only knew this is the outfit I wore while buying the company they worship." "I'm comfortable working from home," Elara said mildly. "It suits my style." "Style?" Ethan laughed. "Running a tiny online business isn't style, sis." "I manage," she replied, fingers brushing her phone again. Another notification popped up. "Stock purchase complete. Transfer confirmed." Charles lifted his glass. "Here's to Lawson Industries, a real company run by real executives who respect tradition." Elara's gaze softened. Tradition, the same word that had left their empire wide open. The same routines that blinded them to innovation. Under the table, her phone buzzed again. "You now own 51% of Lawson Industries. Congratulations, Ms. Stone." She sipped her water, hiding her smile behind the rim of her glass. Ethan cleared his throat. "We should discuss the upcoming board meeting. The one Elara never attends." "Because she's not an executive anymore," Clara quipped. Elara's phone vibrated again. She read the message and looked up. "Actually," she said quietly, "I think I'll attend this one." The laughter stopped. "You," Ethan choked. Her father frowned. "You don't even work for the company anymore." "About that." Elara unlocked her tablet and projected a document onto the table. "I think you'll find things have changed." "What do you mean?" Charles demanded. Elara folded her hands. "Maybe we should discuss the fact that Shadow Crest Ventures just acquired a controlling interest in Lawson Industries. Or, rather, my company did." Silence crashed like thunder. "What did you say?" Charles whispered. Elara's tone stayed calm. 3 years of planning. I built Shadow Crest Ventures while you all mocked my choices." Ethan's chair screeched back. "That's impossible. Shadow Crest is a billion-dollar firm." "Yes," she said evenly. "The one I built." Vivian's pearls rattled in her shaking hands. "But you've done nothing for years." Elara smiled gently. "I've been busy, acquiring undervalued companies and waiting for Lawson Industries to make predictable mistakes." Ethan's face paled. "Shadow Crest is owned by E.W. Stone." "My professional name," she said simply. "Elara Winterstone." The room erupted in disbelief. "You can't be serious," Ethan muttered, turning to their father. "Do something." Charles stared at his phone, where a flood of urgent notifications blinked. "It's legal," he whispered. "She really did it." Elara leaned back, calm as ever. "While you laughed about my little remote job, I built an empire across 3 continents." Clara's composure cracked. "But you missed the last 3 galas." "I was in Tokyo," Elara replied, "closing a billion-dollar deal." Vivian looked lost. "Why didn't you tell us?" Elara's eyes softened. "Because you never asked. You were too busy measuring worth by office walls." Her phone buzzed again. "Legal team ready to proceed with management changes." She stood. "Excuse me. I have a company to run." You can't just take over, Ethan shouted. For now, Elara said coolly, you're the CFO. But you might want to update your resume. Shadow Crest has strict merit policies, no promotions for last names. Clara gasped. You'd strip us of everything? I'll only strip what isn't earned, Elara replied. Please, Charles said softly. We can talk as family. She paused by the door. Like how you talked about me behind my back? Vivian's voice trembled. We were trying to help. No, Elara said gently. You were trying to control. She smiled faintly. Success doesn't always wear a suit. And with that, she left them in silence. The next morning, Elara walked into Lawson Industries headquarters for the first time in 3 years. The security guard blinked. Miss Lawson, you're not on the approved list. Check again. She handed him a new ID badge embossed with the Shadow Crest logo. He stared, speechless, as the system cleared her access. Welcome back, Miss Stone. She stepped into the elevator. Employees whispered, glancing curiously at the woman their executives had ridiculed. Rumors of a takeover had already spread, but few suspected the quiet daughter was behind it. At precisely 9 a.m., Elara entered the boardroom. Ethan was already pacing, whispering furiously to allies. Clara sat beside him, scrolling her phone in panic. Charles occupied the head seat as always. Good morning, Elara said softly. All eyes turned to her. You can't sit there, Ethan barked as she approached their father's chair. That's the CEO seat. Exactly. She placed her laptop down. Dad, I believe it's mine now. Charles hesitated. The weight of reality pressed onto his shoulders. Slowly, he stood. Elara powered on her laptop. Let's begin with the restructuring plan. Restructuring? Clara echoed. Yes. She projected the first slide. Lawson Industries, transformation for the future. First, she said calmly, we'll audit all executive positions. Promotions, salaries, and bonuses will now depend on merit. Ethan's color drained. But we're family. Funny, Elara said, how that word only matters when you're losing something. Her phone buzzed. Additional acquisitions ready for review. She smiled. Let's continue. All executive perks, Elara continued, are suspended until further notice. That includes the private jets, the luxury retreats, and yes, Clara, the fashion stipends. Clara's mouth fell open. You can't be serious. Oh, I am, Elara replied. We'll also modernize the workflow. Remote work options will be standard for all employees. Charles frowned. That's not how real business is done. No, Elara said, meeting his gaze. That's not how you did business. Her slide shifted to show global data. While you clung to tradition, I built innovation. The numbers on the next slide silenced the room. That's billions, whispered one board member. All from my home office, Elara said. The one you mocked. Charles slumped in disbelief. Why didn't you tell us? Would you have listened? She asked quietly. You would have told me to do it your way. Ethan clenched his fists. This is revenge. No, she said softly. This is evolution. You built an empire. I just made sure it survives the next century. Her phone buzzed again. Stock up 30% since announcement. Elara stood. Those willing to adapt can stay. Those who can't will receive generous severance. Wait, Clara cried. You can't mean us. Elara's voice stayed kind. Adapt or step aside. She gathered her tablet. Meeting adjourned. As she reached the door, she glanced back. Oh, and Ethan, the coffee machine's broken. Might be a good time to learn new skills. The boardroom erupted in stunned silence as she left. Outside, the corridors buzzed with whispers. Employees peered out of offices as she passed. Is that her? She owns us now. Elara smiled faintly. The same halls that once echoed with pity now hummed with respect. Her assistant approached, handing her a folder. Global partners confirmed. You're trending on every finance network. Good, she said. Let them see what happens when women stop asking for validation. She didn't look back. That evening, Elara returned to her minimalist penthouse. The city glittered below, endless and alive. She set down her tablet, letting the events of the day replay in her mind. Her family's stunned faces. The gasps. The silence. She opened her journal, scribbling a single line. Revenge is best served with professionalism. Her phone buzzed again. Shadow Crest had just secured another acquisition. She smiled. And this is only the beginning. The next morning, the Lawson family group chat was chaos. Ethan flooded it with angry messages, accusing Elara of betrayal. Vivian begged her to reconsider, while Charles tried to sound diplomatic, offering a family discussion. Elara read each text carefully before deleting them all. There was nothing to discuss. They had built a world where respect was earned only by titles. Now the same titles meant nothing. Her assistant entered with coffee. The media wants a statement. Elara smiled. Tell them this. Lawson Industries is entering a new era, one defined by merit, innovation, and respect. She glanced at her reflection in the glass wall. And make sure they spell my name right this time. Later that afternoon, her phone buzzed. Charles Lawson. She hesitated before answering. Elara, his voice cracked through the speaker. You've made your point. But you're tearing the family apart. I didn't tear it apart, she said quietly. You did when you made love conditional on success. You can't erase everything we built. I'm not erasing it, she replied. I'm rebuilding it correctly. He sighed heavily. We only wanted what was best for you. No, Elara said. You wanted what looked best. Silence lingered before she ended the call. Some conversations, she realized, only reopened old wounds. By noon, Elara was back in the conference room with investors from Dubai, Nairobi, and London joining virtually. One older investor smiled. You handled that takeover flawlessly, Ms. Stone. Thank you, Elara replied. But the goal wasn't revenge. It was reform. Her screen displayed graphs showing the company's new direction, diversification, digital transformation, sustainability. Tradition built Lawson Industries, she said, but tradition nearly destroyed it too. The future belongs to those who adapt. The investors nodded. Deals were signed. Confidence restored. For the first time, Lawson Industries' future looked brighter under a name they had once dismissed. News outlets devoured the story. A strange daughter takes over family empire. Reporters camped outside headquarters, eager for photos. Financial magazines called her the Silent Storm. Clara, furious, tried to leak private details about Elara's personal life, but her attempts only fueled public sympathy. In interviews, Elara stayed poised. This isn't about revenge, she told one journalist. It's about progress. My family valued appearance over impact. I value results. The interviewer leaned in. And your father? Elara smiled faintly. He taught me what not to become. The quote went viral overnight. At the Lawson mansion, dinner was quiet for once. Ethan pushed his food around his plate, avoiding everyone's eyes. Clara scrolled angrily through her phone, reading comment sections calling Elara a genius. Vivian broke the silence. She's making us look foolish. Charles looked older, drained. She's saving the company. Ethan slammed his fork down. She's humiliating us. No, Charles said softly. She's showing the world what we refuse to see. For the first time, silence at the Lawson table didn't feel powerful. It felt deserved. Back in her glass-walled office, Elara stood before a framed photo of her grandfather, the company founder. You built this from nothing, she whispered. Now I'll build it for everyone. Her assistant entered with a folder. New candidate shortlists for executive roles. Most of them are women and minorities. Good, Elara said. Let's balance the boardroom. As she reviewed resumes, she thought of the laughter around that dinner table, the same laughter that once broke her spirit. Now it fueled her. Every insult had become a stepping stone. That evening, a knock echoed through her office. Charles Lawson stood at the door. Elara, he said quietly, may I come in? She hesitated, then nodded. He looked around, eyes lingering on her nameplate. Elara Stone, CEO. I didn't come to fight, he said. I came to understand. She gestured for him to sit. You always said family came first, she began. But it only applied when I followed your rules. Charles sighed. Maybe I was wrong. She leaned forward. Maybe you were, but it's not too late to do right. For the first time in years, father and daughter spoke, not as rivals, but as two people rebuilding trust. The next morning, the board gathered again, this time voluntarily. Elara outlined her vision: transparency, accountability, innovation. Ethan slumped in his seat, still refusing to meet her gaze. One board member stood. You've turned this company around in days. What's your secret? Listening, she said simply. I listen to people you ignored. She paused. And I make sure hard work, not family ties, determines value. For once, applause filled the room where mockery once lived. Later that day, Vivian appeared in her office, eyes red. Elara, she whispered. I'm sorry. Elara looked up from her laptop. For what exactly? For making you feel small, Vivian said, tears welling. For choosing image over you. Elara stood quietly. I didn't need your approval, Mom. I just needed your belief. Vivian nodded, broken. Can we start again? Elara smiled softly. We already have. But next time, don't wait for success to respect someone. They embraced, and for the first time, the hug didn't feel like performance. It felt like peace. A week later, Elara visited the old Lawson estate. Empty champagne glasses and echoes of arrogance still haunted its halls. She walked through the dining room, the same one where she'd once been mocked, and set down her old nameplate. Elara Lawson, Vice President, resigned. This doesn't define me anymore, she whispered. Outside, the press waited, but she didn't stop for interviews. Some victories were meant to be quiet. She slipped into her car and drove away, leaving behind a version of herself that no longer needed validation. The following month, Lawson Industries, now Crest Global Holdings, announced its transformation. Elara addressed a virtual audience of employees worldwide. Our company is not a family by blood, she said. It's a family by purpose. Behind her, screens displayed new initiatives, scholarship programs, green technology, profit-sharing models. This, she continued, is how success should look, shared, not inherited. The applause that followed was thunderous, echoing through every continent connected to her call. For the first time, she wasn't proving anyone wrong. She was leading something right. Weeks later, Elara sat in a small cafe, wearing her favorite black sweater and sipping tea. A young woman approached shyly. Excuse me, are you Elara Stone? Elara smiled. Yes. I just wanted to say you inspired me to start my own business. Elara's heart softened. Then don't stop. Let them underestimate you. It's your secret weapon. The girl laughed nervously. They already are. Good, Elara said. That's how it begins. As the girl left, Elara realized success wasn't about power anymore. It was about paving the way. Months later, the new boardroom looked different. No heavy mahogany, no portraits of past chairmen, just glass, light, and inclusion. Elara stood at the head, surrounded by diverse executives. Let's get started, she said, smiling. One analyst whispered, I never thought a company this old could change. It didn't, Elara corrected softly. We built a new one in its place. When the meeting ended, applause followed her out. The empire had transformed, and so had she. That night, she sat on her balcony, overlooking the city lights. Her phone buzzed with good news, record profits, media praise, glowing reviews. But she didn't smile for those. She smiled for peace. Her journey wasn't about revenge anymore, it was about liberation. She whispered to herself, you don't need their permission to redefine success. Below, the skyline shimmered, her reflection mirrored against the glass like a woman reborn from ashes. Years later, young entrepreneurs would cite Elara Stone as the woman who redefined corporate power. Her story would become legend, the underestimated daughter who bought her family's empire and rebuilt it better. In interviews, she'd simply say, I didn't buy a company. I bought back my worth. And every time she walked into her home office, Still in her comfortable sweater, coffee in hand, she'd smile. Because sometimes the greatest revenge isn't domination. It's evolution. And Elara Stone had become the quiet storm that changed everything.